the lost brother, open conversations, and one-on-ones with Al-Masih. We're getting into it next.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome, guys, to AfterBuzz TV for all things Messiah from Netflix. We are covering Season 1, Episode 7. It came to pass as it was spoken. Ooh, gives me chills. Guys, we're talking Keon's path, Al-Masih's one-on-ones, and of course, the big interview, which is so much that we have to talk about that. We're also diving into our special segment, WWYD, and of course, our news and gossip. But before we get into it, my co-host, who knows all things Messiah and quite possibly Netflix, Evan A. Chapman.
Hello, guys.
How you doing?
That sound effect.
I know.
It was good. It was good. How you doing?
I'm good.
How you doing?
I'm so good.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you. So much has happened in these, like I was saying before, in all these episodes. We just get closer and closer to, I think, the truth. Okay? If you guys are just tuning in, we have teams going on, all right? I am Team Skeptic.
And I'm hashtag Team Believer. Hashtag Team Believer.
Right now, this last episode gave me, Skeptic, a lot of points.
Low key.
Okay?
Low key. I hate
Not
to
even
admit
low
it.
key. Not even low key.
I hate to admit
Skeptic
it.
is winning. And this episode is also helping my cause. Okay? It's helping
Fine,
me.
I'll give it to you. I'll help your cause tonight.
Thank you.
Because it was
Thank you.
pretty strong. I'm not going to lie.
I'm telling you, guys.
Not going to lie.
Team Skeptic.
But I'm
Hashtag
not
Team
changing my team.
Skeptic. You're ride or die.
Ride or die.
Dang!
Gotta ride it out to the end, ride it till the wheels fall off. I ain't got time for that, you know? It's fine.
All right, so season 7, episode 7. What were your overall thoughts for episode 7?
I am so charged about episode 7 and like the rest and this whole series right now. Like, I'm so excited. I have more questions answered.
Yes.
More questions to be answered. We get a look at Al-Masih and his true background. Right, we get to know a little bit more of that, and we get introduced to some new characters. We get introduced to his brother. Ah!
He has a brother. First of all, what?
I know.
What?
I know.
Not only that, but he is not like divine anymore. He did not come from the clouds. He did not come with angels. He did not come with all of that.
He was not sent from God.
He was not sent from God. He went to a college in Massachusetts and studied under Oscar Wallace. That is not a man that I would go follow, but that's a different topic. Okay.
We'll come back to that. We're coming back. We're gonna circle back around to that.
Whoop it back.
Yeah.
We're talking Keon's path. Okay, Keon, for those of you who don't know, is the guy that Ava met in the diner at the very beginning.
Who we thought she met for the first time in the diner. Turns out,
But it's not so.
right. Okay, literally, my notes were like, OMG! Like,
I didn't make that connection.
I didn't make the connection either.
No.
This whole time, like, I was like, who is this student? Like, why do we keep having close-ups with this Who is this boy? Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, walking out of class and doing all this stuff. And then when Eva is sitting down with Abby and talking, and it's like, oh, the uncle, the boy, I check up on him ever so often in the diner. And I said, diner boy! Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh, she knows who he is. And
She just watches out for him, make sure everything's okay, make sure he's doing fine.
Oh, my goodness.
But she can't tell him, right? Because she's part of the CIA. But he guessed it.
Because he knew. Because the uncle was in it.
Because the uncle was in it.
He already knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's interesting because it's like he has no idea who she is. Like, doesn't know her name, doesn't know what she looks like, whatever. But, like, his uncle was her mentor and meant so much to her. So I think that was a big reveal. That was one of the big reveals.
And I think that will mean that their paths will cross in the future as well. And then that will be hopefully revealed to him. Because then I think that will bring them closer together.
Right.
For a fight
And
of
maybe,
justice.
and maybe this could be, like, the child that she never had.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Well, he'd be a grown man child.
Someone to look after.
Yeah,
Someone to spend your life
I
with.
mean, yeah, you're right.
You know?
Ooh, that tugged at my heartstrings just now. If they do that, I'm gonna be a mess. I'm just gonna be a mess, you guys.
Crying with the tissues.
Oh,
bring
gosh.
the tissues whenever that is, if that's revealed.
So emotional during anything. So he's taking this class on Islam, I believe, on Islam or like
Well, he was like
Middle Eastern
looking at the
civilization.
Quran, right? And the
Yeah,
dorm.
but the class that he was taking in
right.
school.
In school, right.
Which is school is completely like flashback to 1960s, 1970s. Like free love, beer on the campus.
Right.
Everybody's just
Hugging.
like, yeah.
Right.
I don't understand why people were reacting that way.
Me either. To be honest with you,
I didn't
because the whole
understand.
thing was like, there's the riots going on, like that's what you see. There's like, you know, cars being blown up and whatever, and then he gets out of class or he leaves class really, and people are like throwing things and doing like TPing and like hugging each other. Like two girls are like just hugging, like
And
love.
one girl was crying,
right, having
you
a
know,
whole emotional breakdown.
I'm assuming it's because they think that this is the second coming. But if you thought this was the second coming, then you had drag your TV out on the lawn and just like have a kegger.
I don't know. Yeah, I was like, I don't understand.
I didn't
what's
understand that
happening.
either. Yeah.
Like, are they feeling him? Are they feeling Al-Masih? Are they not feeling him?
I don't
Were they even
know.
thinking about that? Was
they
this just a day at campus? Like, maybe this is just what they do.
Or maybe they were just like, okay, the world's ending, so who
We got to love
cares?
each other. I don't know.
Yeah, who cares? But you know what I did love is I loved that conversation that the teacher started with the people that were
Yes.
left in the class when he came back. And she was just like, you know what, it's a safe space. Like, let's talk about what our options here, what is going on. And I really liked what the students said because I felt like it was really honest.
Valid point is how I felt.
Yes,
That's what I wrote. That's what I
yes.
wrote down. Valid point.
The one that stuck out to me the most was the guy who said, I'm afraid he's real.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah.
And what does that mean? For like life as we know it, right? And I was
Right.
like,
I would be
Valid
afraid
point.
if he was real too.
he was like, what do we do? Just like leave everything and just like praise him? Like literally, that's what he said. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah. I mean, sure, like you have jobs, right? You have your kids, you have your family. Like you already have this like bubble that you've built for yourself this whole time. And then to like change that or like let go of the security that you're trying to build.
And not only that, but there's that what if, right? Always there's that what if. Like if you drop everything and you choose to believe that this is the second coming of Christ, then you're following after this man. What if you're wrong?
Right. What if?
And what if you're right? Well, great. So it's that which I think in anybody's faith, well, not maybe not everybody, but in some people's faith, you work it out with fear and trembling, right? So you go and you're believing in something and you have questions along the way, and sometimes they're answered and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not answered until far, far in the future.
Right. Right.
So they're all things that are a test of faith. So that's why I really appreciated the open conversation that they had when they were in there. What was, so you had the same thing that stuck out to you?
Yeah,
Was that
no,
same guy?
I definitely was like, yeah, that's a valid point. And
Yeah.
then one was like, he brought up the idea that in the Jewish culture, in the Jewish culture, like civilization would be ending, which means like a bloodbath.
Right.
Right. And then he also brought in like, one girl was like, well, what if it's Christian? And does that mean like he's there to just save us all? Like, so I think having that open conversation where it's like all different religions have different ideas of what it means to have the second coming or the Messiah come back or come, period, right? Like in the Jewish faith, he hasn't even come yet.
Right,
So
exactly.
I think
Well,
that
because if he's for Islam, then it's death to Christians.
Right.
And then like if he's for Christians, then it's death to Islam. And then, it's like it's very contrasting. There's a lot of things that are in
which
common,
is interesting again with the religious thing, remember? And then he, again, just mentioning Al-Masih when he said, I'm here for all mankind, right? For all man.
Right.
So, and I think that's how I would feel. That's the God I serve, right? He's here for everybody. He's not here for just like, oh, okay, well, if it's Christian, the Christian idea came back, everyone else is doomed. Like, that's not the idea that I believe in. So I was like,
well, and today, like, I feel like just the word Christian is so far removed from what it once was. Even like the church in general, there's a lot of different churches who are so far removed from what it's supposed to be.
right.
Like even in the Bible, they warn specific churches, stop what you're doing. You are accountable for leading these people astray.
Right.
So it's an interesting time. But I just thought that whole conversation, including the what if he's Christian, what if he's Islam,
Right.
is exactly the conversation that would be going on today.
Of course. Like, everyone would be fearful for their lives.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Wondering like, should we take sides? Is he on a side? Do I have to be on a side? Like,
Do I need to convert?
yeah,
What's
all
happening?
these different questions,
Yeah.
that need answers, and I think that would that would be, literally what would be going on. But he actually runs into Al-Masih and Rebecca when they're having like that heart to heart. And Keon does. I have to get used to his name. They don't say it very often.
Right.
Keon does. And he sees him and he says in Arabic, false prophet.
Yes, and I put the eye emoji next to that. And I was like, but at the same time, Keon, he seems a little like lost. Like, right? Like he like
burned all of his books and all
his
of
homework and like quit his job, like put the key in there. And then like right at the time that he's like leaving the job, he there's like the riots going on, people are stealing the beers, and he sees that, and then he does that too. And then he's like on the bridge and he sees Al-Masih with Rebecca, and they all make eye contact. He says false prophet and like keeps walking. So I'm like, ugh, here we go again with another character that is like you're giving a little hints, but like what is going on with it? Like why are you, all of a sudden you're like burning things?
Well, I think he was so.
Because I first thought he was going to go follow Al-Masih. I thought that was his idea. Right? Because you're like quitting and doing it, and then I thought he was going to go find him. But that wasn't obviously the case because he doesn't believe in him. He doesn't believe that he's the real.
I mean, maybe he thinks what some of the other skeptics thought, that Al-Masih was misquoting Muhammad, and therefore he wasn't really who he was claiming to be, because he didn't fall in line with a lot of what they taught or what they believe. But I think maybe he's going rogue. Like everything he knew was true to be truth is being questioned, and he's falling apart.
Right.
That's what I think. But when you're raised in something for so long, to believe in something so long, it gets really difficult to let go of that or to change your mind when that's pretty much like all you've been inundated with. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? And I think that's where he is.
Right.
So now everything is being called into question. And he sees him and he's like, false prophet. And he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. I think he's lost. That's what I put.
Yeah.
It's a lost soul right now.
Lost soul.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Speaking of lost souls, no, I'm just kidding.
What are you trying to say, Tatiana?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. Okay.
Called you evil last time, and now you're trying to get back at me. It's fine. It's fine.
Can you tell us all the shows that we have here at AfterBuzz TV? Let us know what's going on with that.
Yes, of course. We have so many things going on here at AfterBuzz. We have dramas, reality TV, anything that you watch. So do we re-review it all just for you. Thank you so much for making us the ESPN of TV talk. So like, subscribe, comment, come in the live chat, talk to us. We are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for people who are busy and on the go at work and want to tune in and listen to the things that we have to say. So definitely check it out.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ebony.
Yes.
Getting back into it, Al-Masih's one-on-ones. I really want to touch on this because I think it's extremely important to kind of show more of Al-Masih's character. We first have Staci and Raya. Now, Staci is trying to convince her husband that she's not crazy, even though she stole their cancer-stricken daughter.
Right.
To take her to see him. Now, from a mother's perspective, I understand.
You're desperate.
You're desperate. You're at your last wit's end. You're like, forget it. I'm the one that's with her the most. I'm going to do what I think is best for her.
Right. I get that. I get that point of view. I
Get
get
it.
that POV.
Get it. As far as her husband, like I would, from his point of view, I would be pissed as all heck.
He sure was. Did you not see that scene when he got that notification and he was like, ugh, like, I know exactly where you are. And he's like, I'm sure he was. And I honestly, as soon as I saw that scene, I was like, oh, it's about to go down.
Yeah,
because he was so mad. He's
not
been
gonna be
like
good.
chasing them around for the past, I don't even know, week or so. So
Right.
he's been trying to figure out where they were. She's not answering the phone, so he's lost. And so to get the text message to know, like, oh, Al-Masih, and he immediately put it together, like, oh, this is exactly where my wife and daughter are. I was like, oh, it's going down. He's about to be, because he's mad. I mean, the phone call was not pleasant that they had.
No, rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so. I mean, it's his daughter too, right? So, but she's like, forget this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take her in there, and then they just end up sitting and staring at each other.
Okay, this was my thing.
Why?
I was like, I cannot believe that the mom let her in there alone.
I hear you.
She's 9 or 12 or whatever.
I hear you. Yes, and I agree.
Alone?
I know. I agree. And when that happened, I was like, ugh.
I almost was like, oh my gosh, what is he gonna do to her? But then I saw the CIA was watching, so I was like, okay, bet we're safe. We're safe.
In her defense, right? She just wants her daughter to be saved. Like, she'll go at any cost. And she honestly, after watching him walk on water, that was her like proof that this man can do miracles.
Right.
And so she was like, whatever you need, go in there.
Right.
But you see, she had like hesitation. I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it. I'm going in there with you.
Yeah.
I'm going in too.
My daughter's not going to be with you alone. No.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a grown man, absolutely not.
But nothing happened.
It was very weird. And they were like, did you hear anything?
No.
They're like, no, we didn't hear anything.
Because
we
he just sat there and stared. And the daughter confirmed it.
Which, you know what? I thought that interaction, like, okay, so now that the daughter was back into the car, right? And the mom's like, oh, you know, Stacy's like, what's going on? What did he say? And she was like, oh, nothing. And she was like, oh, like, you can tell me. And she was like, I just want to go home. I miss daddy. She was very, like, closed off. I feel like the whole time, like, the daughter has been not, like, energetic necessarily, but, like, a little bit more, like, verbal. Like, just a little bit more. She didn't seem closed off. I feel like that conversation was, like, her energy was, like, depleted. Like, it was a weird...
I think it was because the hype in her mind, like, her mother probably was like, this man is going to save you.
But what exactly does that mean? Like, did she think that, like, she was going to be, like, all her hair was going to grow back immediately and, like, she was going to look normal? Like, you know, what was that, like, idea of, like, you're healing me look like?
I mean, I would assume that she would get her daughter back and her daughter would be in the car and then be like... I can breathe again. Like, you know, some ailment that she was outwardly feeling, she would say, oh, it's gone. Not necessarily that her hair would grow back or anything, but maybe like she would have color in her cheeks again, or she would, you know, something of that sort.
Yeah.
Some kind of clue that it would be healed.
But I guess she didn't get any.
She didn't get anything. But now everybody already assumes that she's healed. Oh, I heard you healed the little girl.
Right. But nothing is even confirmed. Happened. She didn't even go to the doctor yet. We don't even know what happened.
Nothing happened. So it's just like people just assume so quickly, you know? And then we have number 2, the prostitute.
Okay, you guys. I'm not going to lie. When that lady came to the door, I thought that was the mom. I thought that was Staci in a wig. And I was like, oh, man, like her daughter didn't give her no types of information. So she went back to investigate what this man said to her daughter. That's literally what I was thinking. I was like, oh, my God. So the whole time, I swear it was like the whole scene. I was like, is this Staci? Like, is this Staci with the wig on?
No, it's not Staci. Her name was Eliana.
Yeah, after she said her name, I was like, what if she's lying? No, I was like... I mean, like, this is Staci. But I was like,
that would be for an interesting plot twist. So, you know, but yeah.
Okay, so Eliana.
Her name was Eliana. Right. Eliana was offered money to try to like seduce Al-Masih.
Right. But my question is this: how is he so good at reading people? Like, how did he know that?
Okay.
How did he know that?
That is like 101 for a con man. I am telling you.
No, come on.
I am telling you. That is 101. If you are a con artist and you're watching this, confirm what I'm saying.
Join the live chat and let us know what you think about this.
It's 101. I'm telling you. Like, it's you get really good at reading people and the reasons why they're doing certain things, and you basically have like, I bet you 70% of the time that you are correct. If you say little tidbits and people latch on and give you affirmation, then you're like, I got him. Like, he started talking about the way she was offering herself to him, right? Mm-hmm. I thought the same thing. This girl's a prostitute.
Really? Well, see, I was still in the idea that it was the mama, like so I was not,
you know.
Right. I mean, I did see that.
I just wanted to tell you, right. You fill the room, your energy. I was like, whoa, okay.
But I'm telling you, the whole time I thought that was the mama, so I was like, oh, mama's trying to get freaky?
I mean, it's been a long time.
I was like, she is married. What is going on?
But I think that it is, if you can get really good at reading people, and I think that it is totally possible that.
But I mean,
he read that from her.
But like, got paid? Like, how did he?
Well, she said
after the fact.
I mean,
he already called it out, though.
But why would I don't know?
That's what I'm saying. He was like, blah blah blah. Like, I already know what you're doing. Like, she was like, he was like, well, how do you think sex is going to help you? And he was like, I just want to be closer to you. And he was like, blah, like, that's not going to help. And then he said, you know, I'm not a fool, basically. Like, someone paid you to come here.
Yeah.
I was like, how he know that? How he know that? That's a point
because
for Teen
somebody's
Believer.
you can think about it. No, it's not a point for Teen Believer. You got to think about it. Like,
It's a point. It's a point.
people,
y'all.
no.
Yeah,
people
that's a
are
point.
people are after him, and obviously if he's trying to keep up this facade of being the second coming or Messiah or the man of the people, whatever you want to call him, if he is destined by God
Payam.
to step yeah, his name is Payam. I'm not going to call him Al-Masih anymore, okay?
His name is not Payam. Okay, we are now calling him by his name.
Payam.
So
okay?
keep up. See if you can keep up with this. Okay.
If he's trying to keep up this facade of being this who he's trying to be, then this is something he has to be good at. He has to be good at.
I mean, I see your point of view too, because I mean, I do get that like a con artist is going to be very good at reading people, because I mean, you're already naturally going to be like skeptic, like going into any situation, like, okay, how do I get out of here? You're already looking at your exit points, looking at this person, that person, this person's weak, this energy's blah. Like, you're already feeling all these energies or looking at the situation because you're trying to figure out how to exit, how to get out of there already. Before you even enter it. So that I do understand, but my little naive mind, when I was watching it the first time, was not there exactly, but I do get your points.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we won't count that as a point. We'll just say it's like a conversation.
Fine. Dang, y'all. She's
just
making it
hard
hard out
nosed
here,
on her. I'm
trying to get a
trying.
point. I'm just trying to get one little point. She is not having it.
We have somebody in the live chat.
Ooh.
Chaos13212 says powerful people trying to take him down isn't really that hard to believe, especially in DC.
Oh, so is he hashtag team believer?
He didn't say a hashtag, but he just said powerful people trying to take him down isn't really that hard to
Sounds like
believe.
a hashtag team believer. Yes. I got one.
We'll see. I'm going to
I
keep a
got
close
one.
eye on
Do you
this.
have anyone? A
I'm
hashtag
going
team
to
skeptic?
keep a close
I don't
eye
think
on
so.
this and
I
see
don't
what
think
he's
so.
saying. Okay. Thank you. Chaos, for letting me know what you think. Our third person we have is Rebecca. Okay.
Yes.
Now, Rebecca, I feel like they have this building relationship,
Right.
her and Al-Masih. And it's like a friendship almost, you know, like he's posing. Let's just be clear. He is posing for her pictures. Okay.
Right.
These pictures that she's
He's like,
taking, he is posing for them.
Right.
And so it's, you know, he's like, wow, you're really good at taking
But
those
you do.
photos,
Right.
all this kind
you
of stuff.
have a good eye.
Yeah, you have a good eye. And not to mention that she is the daughter of Felix, right? So she's going to be a key person. And she thinks that she saw him sleep with this prostitute, which obviously didn't happen. And she's like, oh, this is ridiculous. So he follows her. What was weird to me was they have this heart-to-heart, this conversation. And he basically asks her would you do anything for me? Would you do something for me? It's going to be really hard. It's almost like a mobster asking you, like, you going to do something for me? You know? And then they're like, yeah, anything. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, I'm going to call on you when I need you. And then that's
Tatiana,
it. And you don't know.
Your Godfather voice right there. I'm gonna need you to record it so I can put it as your ringtone. Okay, I think that was great. Your Italian mobster accent.
That's what I got.
I love it.
It's good. But that was my first initial reaction, was like, okay, he's gonna call on her for a favor, but she has no idea what.
Right.
And I feel like it's a naive move for her to be like, yes, anything. He's like, but you have to shed all your self-doubt, which means he's basically saying, when the time comes for me to ask you to do what I want you to do, and you oblige me, you are going to do it regardless of what anybody else thinks. You're just gonna
because
do
I
it.
mean, her mom, first of all,
And yeah, who does not like Al-Masih
at all. That one scene where she was drinking her alcohol and he walked past her.
Stone.
She was
cold.
like,
Stone.
okay,
cold.
don't look. She was giving him the look like, don't even look in this direction. I'm not even messing with you right now.
Seriously.
Like, you're the one who had my family all over here running around town. Got my husband thinking that you're the one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She's not messing with him.
No, and I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
I wouldn't either. Obviously, I'm team skeptic, but anyway. He puts his hands on Rebecca, I think for just dramatic effect. At this point in time, I feel like Al-Masih is a creep. I think he's a creeper.
Oh my goodness.
I think he's weird. He's weird. He's just doing, I don't know, he's just doing things. I'm not comfortable with him.
You're not comfortable?
I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with him. You can hashtag that. Hashtag not a comfortable. Oh, chaos. Let me just bring him up again.
Great. What did he say?
He's still not sure which team he's on. He said, I feel like the vibe that the writers are putting around him is a still be cautious vibe. Very true. But am I the only one that's noticed that his main followers are teens?
Well, there's some old people
there's
in
a
there.
there's a lot of different types of people.
Yeah.
It's not just teens. But I do think that like the younger generation is more easily accepted.
Well, the thing is, Rebecca is Instagramming her photos.
Exactly.
And then that's how one of them goes viral and ends up on the news, right? Like which way they're going, which is how they knew they were going to go to DC. I really don't think that like in the photograph, it didn't say like, he didn't point to DC or anything. His arm is kind of down. But I think the media was like, they're going to DC. Like I was like, wait, how did they make that connection?
They
like,
just took what they could get.
right. Like they just made up something, and then Felix was like, "Okay, bet we're going to DC. DC is where I'm going." But yeah, there's definitely like a good mix of people.
Yeah, I think there's a good mix of people.
Yeah.
I think there's just, it happens to be that there is a bigger younger portion because of social media.
Yeah, because she's tweeting the pics. I mean,
Right,
there was like 400,000 likes, like, in the one night
like,
or whatever.
wow, I'm popular.
Which I thought was funny because then she started getting the reactions to being popular, and people were being very mean.
There's
to
haters,
her and
always.
being very rude, calling her names,
The
and
whore
whatnot,
and all that kind
and
of stuff.
ugly.
Yeah, like it's horrible, but that's
the realities. And I kind of was almost like, you know what? My question was like, what is that going to do to her? Because she's very sensitive already. Her psyche, her person. So I was like, like, because before she was already trying to jump off the bridge.
Right.
Alma stopped that, or Payam, he stopped it.
Payam. So used to calling him Al-Masih.
But like now I'm like, like that's kind of disrupting her energy. So we'll see. We'll see.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to go on with that. We go straight into the interview. Okay, this is the one I'm most excited to talk about. With the brother.
Yes.
So Ava put together basically like a manifesto on Payam.
Yes.
She put together a manifesto trying to convince the president and his people that he is a threat, and they shouldn't be treating him as like, they shouldn't turn this whole thing into like an immigration issue, which is what the president was trying to do, but that it should be treated as something else. She said this isn't about one man. This is a war of ideas.
Which was so strong.
So strong.
I think it's very interesting though, because the president and his people, they're not really looking. I feel like when you're busy doing a whole bunch of stuff, like you're not really looking always at the issue at hand so critically.
Well, yeah, I think you're blinded to what your personal agenda is.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's to get him out or control him or arrest him or kill him, whatever it is, right? So they're like, we need something concrete. Like whatever you're telling me right now, that ain't nothing. That is not going to put him, that's not any evidence. Like we want hardcore evidence. And honestly, the president's person, he was very like racist. I'm sorry. He was like, he was like looking for those stereotypical thing. He was like, I need him to be, cutting someone's head off or something crazy. And she was like, yeah, you're not going to get that.
That's what they feed the American people. Like all people do this. And that's not the case.
That's not the case.
Like at the end of the day, everybody's human. They act on their own accord. Right. Right. Everybody makes their own choices.
Does not matter about your race.
No. Like I don't make choices.
Maybe your environment, but not about your race.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Put that somewhere on a t-shirt.
Hashtag.
It's true. It's a long hashtag, but yeah, it's true. So back in the interview with his Payam's brother, and I love this because we get to find out so much more.
Oh.
He had parents.
Yes.
They died.
Yes.
He could blame it on the U.S., which would explain
the
why.
vendetta here.
Yes, the vendetta for wreaking havoc here. He was raised by their uncle, who is a magician.
Mm-hmm. And they used to steal.
And they stole, and they taught him sleight of hand and how to do illusions.
Right, and he was part of the circus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he has all this, and this is the thing, and he like bestowed all this on his nephews. This is the thing that got me, because I was like watching it thinking, like, this guy could be saying anything. Maybe he's his brother, maybe he's not. I don't know.
But then
he changes the
pencil to a pen.
Yes, exactly. Yes. He just like, boop, like he shook it.
I love what he said, though. He was basically like, it doesn't matter about the trick. What matters is if you believe it. Mm-hmm. That's what he. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, they have really good one-liners. Like,
they do.
Some really good quotable lines in this show. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh.
This last, like, that scene right there, like, I am a full-on non-believer of Payam Gulsheri. Payam Gulsheri, I don't believe has anything to do with the second coming of anybody at all. I think he could be instrumental in bringing forth somebody who's supposed to be part of the second coming.
Like
Jabril.
Jabril, thank you.
Right?
Yes.
Because, an interesting point, Jabril, we don't know where his father is. And in the very, very, very beginning in episode 1, he asks his mom why he was shot. We don't know who exactly he's talking about, but they're like, did God love him?
Right.
Yes, because it was like God's will or something. She said something along those lines. And, well, does God love me? Mm-hmm. Yes, he does. So I don't know who he's talking about. I don't know if he's talking about his father, if his father died, why, who shot his father. So, like, I think because that was like the first thing that it opens up with. And so I know that has to come back around. It has to come back around for something. So my hope is kind of transferring from Payam Gulsheri to Jabril.
My eye is definitely on Jabril at this point, because I definitely feel like he is, like, there's something special about him. I'm not sure what it is yet, but there's definitely something special about him. And I do have to say that, like, episode 7 has me really looking at Payam Gulsheri with the side eye.
Seriously. And what did it in is that interview with his brother.
I mean, and I like that the brother was honest. Mm-hmm. But I mean, maybe the brother has his own vendetta. Like, maybe his brother has his own agenda.
I am sure that his brother, like, they had a spat, or maybe they don't get along with something, because why isn't his brother doing this with him? Like, they could come back and pretend to be the two witnesses.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of things that they could do there as brothers, but instead they're apart, and I don't even know if he contacts him.
I don't think so.
Like, Ava thought that he was on the phone at some point, that Payam Gulsheri was on the phone.
Oh,
because she went and followed him, and then
oh yeah, the payphone.
Yeah. And I don't know. I didn't see him use the phone.
Me either. I didn't see him use the phone either.
I wasn't sure if he called somebody or what was going on there. But
yeah, that happened last episode.
If he was going to call anybody, then I would assume that it would be his brother. I don't know.
But I mean,
there's a lot of questions.
But if he called his brother, then why would his brother do the interview with the enforcement, like the police, detectives?
That makes me think maybe there's a split. There was some kind of divide. Between them.
I think so too.
So many questions.
Oh my god, I don't know. Do I need to, like, be changing my team? That's what
No, you already picked it. Now you gotta stay there.
Said I was ride or die last time, so I guess.
Yeah, you gotta
Here we go.
Ride or die.
Here we go.
Okay, moving on to our special segment. Here we go. WWYD. Here's the scene. You are in the Oval Office with a brief of everything you have found on this so-called Al-Masih. You have enough information on his family name, and his personal experiences as a child, and a background information to prove that he is not what he says he is. But the concern is the backlash and possible riot of people who have already claimed that he is part of the second coming. Do you release the information and try to convince the world that this is a con man? Or do you release the information as a speculation piece and let people decide for themselves and wash your hands of it? What do you do?
Well, I think the whole idea is that if you want to release information, that you want people to believe you. So I feel like option 2 of, like, just letting it float out there is a no. So I feel like I would want to prove my point and go full force with, like, trying to prove that he is or is not who he says he is.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Yeah. What would you do?
Ooh, I would do the same thing. I'd make it my life's work to prove people from not
like
wasting their lives.
Eva is doing.
Yeah.
She's definitely trying to make sure that people know. I mean, she feels like there's not even, I don't even think it's just the idea that like people need to know, but more of the fact that like she's like, you're a weirdo and you are going around saying things and it's not true. Like I think it's more like her own mission now.
I mean, definitely. It's definitely her mission. But also in the very first episode when she was interviewing that guy and he was like, oh, the truth is gray. There's a lot of gray area in truth. She was like, no, the truth is black and white. It may look gray.
Which she learned from her mentor. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
There it is. Getting into our news and gossip, guys.
AfterBuzz TV News.
From Refinery 29, Rebecca on Netflix Messiah looks familiar. It is because you might have seen her in Hollywood for the past decade. Stefania Levy Owen. She has been working for the last few years really, really hard, and she's going to be, you should start paying attention to her in 2020 because she has a really big movie coming up. She was first seen on Sex and the City, the spinoff, The Carrie Diaries. That's where some people started to notice her. She attends the Gallatin School of Individualized Study at the New York University, and next year she will appear in the big coming-of-age drama Paper Spiders. There's a lot of big names attached to it and is making headlines. In it, Owen stars a young girl dealing with her mother's mental illness. It sounds like another reason to pay attention to Owens in 2020. So you guys look out for her. She is doing so much more than The Messiah, but I think The Messiah is really putting her on point and on blast for her next film that's going to be even bigger. So watch out for Paper Spiders. I know she'll probably start doing a lot of press for it soon. So stay tuned. Watch out for her. So exciting. I'm so glad to see her doing other things because I actually do remember her off The Carrie Diaries.
Do you?
Yes.
I don't.
So good. Okay.
But she's doing a great job in this.
She's awesome. I think she's really cool. So she has a really bright future ahead, and I only wish the best for her. Before we finish this whole piece of information that we just spewed your way.
Yes.
Can you tell us where we can follow you?
Yes, of course. Again, you guys, like I said, I fixed my Twitter I changed my name so it matches my thing on Instagram. So Insta and Twitter, Ebony Chapman 12.
And of course, you guys, my name is Tatiana Marisa at Tatiana Marisa on all social media platforms. Thank you so much for spending your evening listening to our opinions about Al-Masih. Please share yours so we can keep the conversation going. Until then, we will catch you next time. Bye, guys.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.